Kia ora, good morning. I just need to document this just quickly. So after my, towards the end of my live, you could hear all those bangs and crashes and things moving about. I'm obviously in an energetic vortex, and I'm firing off kinetic bullets because I'm getting pissed off every time I talk about, I was talking about Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage and all these traitors to the king. And obviously, if you'll notice, at the time I started talking about Tommy Robinson being a traitor and Farage being a traitor and Stammer being a traitor, you'll hear all that noise. It wasn't coming from anywhere. There was nothing causing it. It's coming off me. The mind bullets, kinetic energy. It's not that I'm in the paranormal realms. It's because I'm energetically powerful. I know how to control it. But after I made the live, I decided to do a little bit of investigating, and I will put everything in the description box. But it is all there. I found out I'm related to King Charles through King Robert the Bruce, and that Meghan Markle is also related to King Robert the Bruce. So we have a common ancestor through King Robert the Bruce. So now this whole Holy Trinity bloodline is all starting to make sense. So it must mean, judging by with the quantum menace, the fourth son, I must, because I know that King Charles is related to Vladimir Putin through Prince Philip, so it means that Vladimir Putin and I must have a common ancestor as well. Now, I'm just grasping at straws at this point, but I do know that, see, Prince Philip is Greek, and I know that my royal bloodline, when we left Egypt, we became Māori. My Egyptian ancestors became my Māori ancestors. They've been able to trace when they did like a DNA test on Māori people. When we originally left Egypt, we went through Greece and that, and it is believed that we may share Greek ancestral bloodline. So it could be through that. Otherwise, it's got to be through maybe the Viking bloodline. So the three of us must share like a genetic strand together, which is why we're the Holy Trinity bloodline. And then I found out that Donald Trump, that America has the same law that Starmer and Zelensky brought in, where they can take your children for any reason whatsoever, and you can't do anything about it. And if you try to fight it, you'll get arrested. And apparently it's one that came in through Obama. So they've been quietly trying to sneak all these laws in through their presidents and prime ministers and that, where they have the right to take your children away. Now, the thing is, you're not allowed to ask where they've gone. And you can be arrested and thrown in jail if you try to fight for your kids, which means they're stealing your children and have been for a couple of decades now through these laws people don't know about, and then the children are vanishing off the face of the earth. And remember, I did that study yesterday that said about how America, this will be why it's that statistic through the United Nations, why America has one of the highest records of sex trafficking and human trafficking and child trafficking in the world, and that it's mostly rich white men that take them. The Podesta brothers, their mother fostered or adopted like dozens of kids, and then we know what happened with Podesta and all that. And then, and this is why I'm making this video, because it's happened again. There's all this fake news, fake media stuff of people going, a survey, just overnight out of nowhere since Trump raped and pillaged the lands of Venezuela, just suddenly all of a sudden overnight, Trump, we need you to be the King of Britain. Trump, we need you to come and invade Britain and, you know, destroy the British Empire and the British monarchy and that, so that you can, you know, because you're better than Starmer, blah, blah, blah. And now, all of a sudden, overnight, just like in a span of a few hours, apparently there's been this big survey that's been held. And the British people want to go back to the EU, which is bullshit. It's all propaganda. And I said to the king, it's bullshit. This is the propaganda they're feeding people, because they want people to think it's like it's like a psyops thing. It's they're messing with the psychology of people's minds. Oh well, if other people are okay with it, then I'll go along with it too. You know, Starmer's saying, "Oh, yeah, we're probably going to look at going back to the EU," and it's like, well, why the hell? People are saying, but that's not what we voted for. Well, yes, it's been 10 years now, so we need to rethink it. And then all of a sudden, overnight, apparently, the majority of British people want to go back to the EU, just out of nowhere. And I said to the king, it's done on purpose, because they want people to go, oh well, you know, sheep will follow the crowd. Gotta. I'm getting so mad. Got to go along with the crowd. And then I looked at the person who posted it. He's French. He's situated in Paris. He's French. And the newspaper article that just happened to print it, the Mirror. And who were the Mirror? They were owned by Robert Maxwell, the same newspaper that when Tony Blair was in power was saying to Tony Blair, you need to abolish the monarchy. So I said to the king, there you go, look, feeding the propaganda. I said to him, I tell thee here and now, if I was running Great Britain, all those people at the Mirror would be arrested and charged with high treason. And because I'm getting mad, and then things started knocking about and falling about, and like the windows are cracking and cackling and binging and booing and all sorts of stuff's going on. Other than when I'm like messing around with paper, putting my cups down, getting my drinks of water, and messing around with my rehua spray, my sprays, you know, my spritzers and rehua sprays and that. Most of my lives, all you'll hear is like when I'm shifting about under the covers, or, you know, because I have the blanket over me, and you'll hear the microphone rubbing up against the blanket, and that you don't hear external noise. Until this morning, binging, banging, popping, panging all over the place. Is because the more people that are starting to expose themselves of being, because the guy that posted that one from the Mirror is a bitch of Macron. So, you know, that you have to understand that these people are taking the side of pedophiles. Most of these people will have kids of their own, nieces and nephews, that sort of thing. These people are supporting pedophiles. These people want to hand your children over to people who want to do the most depraved, disgusting things to them, and then turn around and blame it on the British royal family. Because that's what people need to ask themselves. I need to calm down. It gets me so mad. Why is it only the royal family who have been dragged through the mud when it comes to having connections to the Epsteins? Nobody's asking that. Because Zuckerberg, you know, Meta, Facebook, the people that run YouTube, the people that run X, and all of that, they're all in on the coalition. They're all people who do bad things to children, or who make money from people doing bad things to children. If they have a connection to Epstein, they have a connection to doing bad things to children. And they purposefully brought the royal family into it so that they could use them as the scapegoats. So when they were really ready to pull off this global war, start a World War III, start a whatever, with Donald Trump and Tony Blair coming up from the rear to, you know, do it all because they thought they were so clever, hiding it all, playing a game of chess, Donald Trump, cue, checkmate, nobody would notice what was going on. And they purposefully brought the royal family into it just so that they would have records of the royal family being involved in it. The second Diana, Princess Diana, figured out what was going on, and she ended up in that relationship with Dodi Al Fayed, the Muslim. They had to cut that off quick, because she started figuring out what they were doing. She started figuring out that they were all pedophiles and that. Started distancing herself. Started talking out about the landmine. Started talking out, being pro-Palestinian. And then she got into a relationship with a Muslim, which would have meant, had she have married Dodi Al Fayed, they wouldn't have been able to turn all the Muslims into the bad guys to pull off what they're trying to pull off now. Israel, America, the Labour and all the coalition of the Epsteiners, the coalition of pedophiles that have been running the world for however long, could not have Diana marrying a Muslim, because then William would not have tolerated anything going on with Islam. And because you know how King Charles has been dragged through the mud because he's supporting Islam, right? He's a traitor to God and Christianity and blah, blah, blah. Princess Diana marrying a Muslim would have destroyed that even further. They wouldn't have been able to get away with what they've gotten away with Palestine and that. So they had to remove the Queen, and they had to remove Diana, because they were pro-Palestinian, because they were friends of Islam. The Queen didn't trust Israel at all, and Diana, in dealing with Epstein and all that, especially with Donald Trump trying to sleep with her. Donald Trump had a bet with Jeffrey Epstein that they had a competition to see who could get her into bed first. But she ended up choosing a Muslim. And that's how seedy and disgusting that they were, they're perverse. And the second she figured it out, she left all those secret letters and that Princess Anne found. I talked about it in a couple of other videos. And when she realised what her and her boys and her family were being drawn into, she started pulling away. And then they must have panicked and thought, she's going to spill the beans, we have to kill her. And then what happened? What happened, people of the world over a certain age who remember when Diana died? The first thing they did was blame the monarchy. Oh, Prince Philip gave the word and the Secret Service killed her. Oh, Charles gave the order. It was all Charles and Philip. So it was all a setup. How can we get the royal family embroiled in such a massive controversy that the British people and the Commonwealth will want to distance themselves from the monarchy? I know, let's call them devil-worshipping, satanic, child brutalising, child murdering pedophiles. But how we need to do it is we need to bring them in on the ones that are real devil-worshipping, child brutalising pedophiles. And so that's when they brought in all the friends around Charles, like Ghislaine Maxwell. And, let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to that person. The guy, John Bryan, is it? What's his name? The one that had the fling with Sarah Ferguson. Let me introduce you to that. And then next thing you know, they've got all these contacts. Jimmy Savile comes along. People think, he was friends with Jimmy Savile. Well, you know what? One of my students was a pedophile, and I didn't know she was a pedophile until she tried to kiss my boy. I didn't know that this person was that until they did this. We will all know someone who is a pedophile or done things like that we would never have known until they got caught. These people, you have to understand that these groomers are very, very, very good at masking who they are. The devil comes in many disguises. The devil comes in many forms. And they pulled one over on the royal family, letting the Queen and Princess Diana and Andrew and all that trust Savile, be friends with Savile, because he was the groomer. He technically groomed the royal family into falling into the Epstein trap. He groomed Starmer. So the king is now, the royal family are guilty by association. The thing is, Andrew messed up And I'm not making excuses in any way, shape, or form, but Virginia Giuffre was paid to groom girls. She even admitted, and even Fergie's lover admitted, that they were using these girls to blackmail the royal family. He admitted that. It's all documented. There are lords who even agree with me that they were all set up, and Virginia, God bless her, they talked her into grooming, and they would have said to her, I've got a photo, you know, that famous photo of Prince Andrew and Virginia standing together, and Ghislaine Maxwell's in the back. You can tell by the way Ghislaine Maxwell is standing that they put Virginia up to having that photo with Prince Andrew to use against him when the time was right to blackmail the royal family and destroy the monarchy and Great Britain and talk people back into joining the EU. They're only going to be able to pull off this New World Order, you know, one world order domination thing when they get rid of the British royal family. And I said to the king, I showed him that photo because I read body language in that, because I read energy, you know, like that's how I do everything. And I said to the king, you can tell by the look on Ghislaine Maxwell's face, she's thinking, Jesus Christ, I hope they don't figure out what we're doing. Like, are you sure about this? I can't believe we're about to do this, because it was like the next day or something after that photo was taken, it ended up in the newspapers. A private photo just happened to end up in the newspapers. And that's where it all started. And you can tell from Ghislaine Maxwell's body language in that photo. I'll even use it for the cover of this post. You look at her body language, she was shitting herself. Because she knew if it was like, if they catch us, we're screwed. That's that whole thing she's giving off on her body language. From what the Queen said in those codes, they chose Andrew because they would never have gone, Anne would not have tolerated any of that nonsense. Edward was too busy living his life and doing other things. The king was being groomed, and Andrew was the soft one. Andrew was the one that they were going to be able to draw in. You can tell by that email where he said to Jeffrey Epstein, like, you know, I've got your back, we've got each other's back, blah, blah, blah. He genuinely thought Jeffrey Epstein was his friend. He had no idea that he was being used as a pawn in a very dangerous game to not only start World War III, but to blackmail the royal family in such a way that it would destroy the monarchy and break the Commonwealth apart, where the vultures could then come in and pick the bones of the EU, of the Commonwealth and Britain, and that in order to turn into their one world order. Which is why people are now saying, oh, it's time to make, you know, everything part of the European Federation. What was that? Did you hear that? So every time I get riled up now, there's noises. Because I'm in an energy vortex. I'm in a protective bubble because I've been put in the prayer position. So I'm sitting with God, getting these downloads and transmission. And, you know, like with a transmitter, how the energy beams off the transmitter. My energy is beaming off the transmitter. And it's coming out as audible sounds, such as the supernatural. It's not kinetic, because if it was, I thought it might have been kinetic, but kinetic energy actually moves objects. This is throwing sound. This is creating sound. It's bouncing off as sound and not energy, which is interesting. It'd be like being inside a tornado, and you know how when a tornado sucks up stuff and then it spits out, like it'll suck up, go around sucking up the houses, and then bits of wood will fly out and cars will fly out and hit trees. It's the same thing, because I'm in an energy vortex. because I'm hypervigilantly watching over the king, because they're on his doorstep, breathing down his neck. My son's Spider King dream. So I'm hovering energetically over England, and you're hearing the sounds as things go flying out. as I'm sweeping about energetically, you're hearing stuff flying out of the vortex, bouncing off me energetically. So yeah. So my robot lip stream, as the regime falls, all people are about to find out that everything they see on social media is all fake. And that man just posted that. Well, just out of nowhere, nobody asked me. I never got asked to take part in. If they asked 50 people, and those 50 people will be Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, those people. But if they asked the millions of people that actually live here, it would be a very different answer. They want to get as far away from Europe as possible, because the British people, especially, like, you have to understand, and that's what I was saying. Who the hell are Europe to tell Britain, the British Empire? Queen Victoria sat over the largest empire in the world, and little measly old France and Germany are trying to say, Great Britain, you need us. You can't survive without us. Really? Really? Because they haven't been able to do it for the thousands of years that they've done it. Like, it's insulting. So then they try to get into people's heads to sway popular opinion by making people think, well, if everybody else is doing it, we'll just follow the crowd. Because psychologically, people like me are very few and far between. People like me don't exist, where you see the truth and stand in the truth and refuse to back down and refuse to follow orders of the people who are the lemmings jumping off the cliff. People like me, cognitive dissidents, we are very, very few and far between, because everybody else will just follow the crowd, which is why they're called sheeple. Whereas people like me, we're the ones that then have to stand up and try and wake everybody up and say, no, you're about to walk off the cliff. That's not a sheep you're following, that's a wolf. So, which is why people like me are considered like enemies of the state. But I'm doing everything I can. I'm banging the drum, blowing my whistle, stomping my feet, banging my knees, and, banging the cymbals together using my knees. I'm doing whatever I can, stomping about. Wake up, King Charles, wake up, King Charles, wake up, King Charles. Because the Spider King has just started climbing up the side of his castle. He's that close. He's breathing down my king's neck. And I even got Prince William involved, and I'm like, come on, bruh. Like, you got to help me. We're all related. This also makes sense now as to why I have become so protective, because that's my family, and I'm loyal to family. Unlike my actual family, I'm loyal, and I will defend my loyalty to the people that I care about to the death. And I have 4 times defended the people that I'm loyal to almost to the death, where it's almost killed me 4 times. You have to understand, these cops and doctors and social services and Sumo Digital and that did this to me, now it turns out at the end of the story, was trying to kill an ancient ancestor of the king, to stop her from telling the king that all these people were working together to bring the king down. Who knew when I got locked up that this was where the story was going to end? But here we are. And like I said, I was getting ready to walk out the door. I couldn't have given 2 shits what happened to Great Britain. And then they brought Starmer in. And then my antenna peaked, and I'm like, hang on a minute. And then that's when the Queen came in, and she said, you got to help me. You have to help me. And I felt her pain, man, like I felt it, because At the time, I was a mum fighting to protect her babies as well, and I still am fighting to protect my babies. And Diana said they're tearing Harry and William apart because they need to keep them divided, because William is part of the World Economic Forum and all that. They're getting to him too. But with Harry around, because Harry figured all that stuff out just like his mum and started speaking out, and then of course they had to bring the media in. Harry and Meghan, boo, boo, boo. Harry and Meghan, boo, boo, boo. And Diana said it was all done on purpose to keep William and Harry apart, because when the king goes and William takes over, if they don't pull this off fast enough, which they're desperately trying to do now, I'm utterly convinced it's why the king got cancer. I'm telling you now. I don't think his cancer was a cancer that just happened on its own. I'm telling you now. Same with Catherine. With Harry out of the picture, William doesn't have his general. See, with our bloodlines, we all have, you have the heir to the throne, and then you have the regent, the monarch, the one who sits on the throne, the one who wears the crown, and then they have the heir to the throne, and then the heir to the throne has a general. Harry is William's general. Harry is William's backbone, the one that says to him, come on, mate, this is lies, or they're doing that, blah, blah, blah. So they had to bring that divide. They did the same thing with me and my kids, broke the divide. My son Gabriel, my son Thomas is the heir to my throne. He knows, he has said, he knows that he's going to be the one that decides the fate of my empire when I'm gone. Everything that I create when I get out of here, my bloodline, my story, everything is going to be all in the hands of my son Thomas, because he was my firstborn. He's the heir to my throne. Gabriel is supposed to be Thomas's general, Thomas's right-hand man. King Charles has got Princess Anne. Prince George has got Princess Charlotte. Charlotte will be his general, the one that keeps them grounded, the one that helps them see sense, the one that reminds them of their purpose and the importance of their mission in protecting and defending patriotism. My boys are very, very patriotic to England, to the King, to Britain, to the flag, to the Union Jack, to the English flag, to the Scottish flag, to the Irish flag. They're very, very patriotic because that's how I raised them. It's just that their father and everybody else got into their heads and turned them against their own empire, including their black blood empire. And interestingly, with Meghan Markle being half African American, focusing on the word African, remember the Queen's African. The Queen has black blood in her. So Meghan Markle's related to the royal family more than people realise. And I'm black as well. We've all got the black blood. We've all got the Robert the Bruce blood in us. So now it's like everything makes sense. Now I've figured, now it makes sense as to why they did what they did to me, why they're doing what they're trying to do to the king, and it's all to do with the fact that they need to get their hands on the children and the adrenochrome, and for the pedophiles and the sacrifices and the organs and all that. And I'm the whistleblower. I'm the one that has been blowing the whistle since my blog days. And if they couldn't risk any of this information getting to the king, because I immediately started going to him when I started figuring out what was going on. So then that's when von der Leyen and Keir Starmer came in with their fact checkers and all of that, trying to discredit me and my work. That's when Elon Musk started trying to kick me out of X and forcing me to have to sign back in and jump over those hoops and that, because they couldn't risk the right piece of information getting to the king where it woke him up to realise, holy crap, I'm surrounded by sharks and giant spiders and vampires and celery. I'm just waiting for confirmation. I keep waiting for news I know in my heart that we're about to get news that the king's woken up. And when that happens, I can put my shield down. I can put, like, that's it. It's all over. War's over. And not just like with Russia and Ukraine and that, but the world war. Because then all the people that were responsible, from presidents, prime ministers, MPs, business moguls, tech moguls, oligarchs, the media, journalists, all of them that were involved, celebrities, the whole lot of them that were involved in what they're trying to pull off with the king will all get removed from power and taken to trial. There will be massive international trials. Countries like Hungary and all that will finally be able to take a bite out of the EU to get justice. Russia will finally be able to instigate trials and all of that in order to get justice for what happened to them, and then everything they lost will come back to them tenfold, and everything that they have to let go of where they will take losses will come back to them tenfold. And then because there's about to be a massive power shift, because the only reason why it hasn't kicked off yet, this power shift where like the hourglass flips, is because the king hasn't woken up yet, hasn't fully woken up yet. Once we get news that the king has woken up and he's like, holy crap, she was right about everything, and he dissolves parliament, and it's not just about getting rid of Starmer, because Starmer's MPs, it's all Labour, they're all in on it. The Conservatives are all in on it. They're all in on it. The Lib Dems, they're all in on it. They're all in on it. He has to dissolve Parliament, not just get rid of Starmer. He's got to tear Parliament down. So there's nobody in Parliament. King George did it. He ran the country. Before he died, he ran the country without a Parliament. He dealt with the people himself. He had his trusty people that dealt with it all himself. He concentrated on like building libraries, and he was a botanist and all of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think King George, was it, the madness of King George, that one, the one they said was mad. I'm pretty sure he's the reason why we have glass houses and atriums and all that, if I remember rightly. That George, what was his name? Benjamin Franklin was the whole reason why America went to war with Great Britain. He was a member of the Hellfire Club. When he went to the king and he said to the king, this is how far back it goes really, Benjamin Franklin went to the king and said, America, they want to be independent, blah, blah, blah. The king actually turned around and said to Benjamin Franklin, if they want independence, they can have independence, as long as they agree to trade with us, because he wanted the cotton and all that, as long as they agree to trade with us, they can be independent. And then, because Ben Franklin was in the Hellfire Club, which is, a form of, the Freemasons and the Illuminati, went back to America and goes, he said, if you do this and blah, 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 and we'll go to war. And that's not even what happened at all. So that was Benjamin Franklin. So the Keir Starmer goes back to America and goes, the king's... So America's like, well, we're just going to come and invade and we're going to take Greenland, we're going to do, because they're all lying. All lying. Because they want to take down the monarchy. God. The one thing, next to liars, the one thing I can't stand are people who are disloyal. People who are disloyal. Don't ever look someone in the eye and say, I love you, and then stab them in the back. That's the worst kind of betrayal. Disloyalty to me is the worst kind of betrayal. And there's many, many forms of disloyalty. There's many, many forms of lies, and they are all an umbrella term for each other. When you lie to someone that you care about, when you're lying to cause trouble, it's a betrayal and it's disloyal. And I hate more than anything in the world people who are disloyal. I'm your friend. I love you. You're my woman. You're my partner. But together forever. We're in this forever. And then they're stabbing you in the back. That kind of disloyalty. I hold my hand up and say, I'm going to serve the king and I'm going to serve the queen and in this with God, and I will be a good leader and a good prime minister, blah, 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 stabbing them in the back. You have to understand as well that every prime minister since Tony Blair took an oath to the queen and the king under oath with their hands on Bibles and stuff, knowing this whole time the plan was to stab the king and the queen in the back. They took those oaths when they quote unquote won their elections, because it's all rigged. They did it knowing the plan was, while I'm prime minister, I'm going to do my bit to tear the monarchy down and break the Commonwealth up so that Europe can take over and America can take over, and then Israel gets to control the whole lot. And that's why I get pissed off. I can't stand injustice. My brain can't handle it. And backstabbing and being disloyal to your king, for no other reason than you were told to, because you'll make money from it when you help break up the monarchy, is utterly sinful, shameful, and disgusting acts of loyalty. It is treason in a way where the only way to deal with them would either be, bring back the old days, guillotine, hang them up, or do the Napoleon thing and put them on a desert island somewhere where they can't be touched by society, because these people are so dangerous to the countries that of the flags that hang over their head, that they don't deserve to be a part of society. When you're a danger to your country, when you're a danger to your society, when you're a danger to humanity, you either need to be removed from that position or you need to be put on a deserted island somewhere, because you can't be trusted to have the interests of anybody in your country held in the highest order. If you can't, even if your own friends and family members can't trust you, if your own community can't trust you, if your own king can't trust you because of the things that you're doing behind closed door to help bring down the monarchy that is solely responsible for keeping peace on this earth, you don't deserve to be a part of this society. And I'm not talking about just sending them to a prison like at His Majesty's service. They need to be physically removed where they don't even have access to mainlands and the internet and social media and that. They need to be socially outcasted. When you've got a New Zealander that was almost murdered, risking life and limb to defend a country that isn't even hers, to defend a king that a few years ago she didn't even give a shit about, like, that's when you know something isn't right. I'm doing more for this country and for our king than Tommy Robinson will ever do, because all he cares about is the money. That little big man, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I'm English Defence League, England, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, he's friends of Israel. He's on the Epstein list. He's kissing Donald Trump's ass because he's going to make so much money out of this. All he cares about when this is over is that he gets the money. See, people are cottoning on to him now. People are waking up, because then he started coming out, hey, Venezuela, well done, Trump. And people are like, hang on a minute. Why are you... Shouldn't you be worried about England? No, he's not. He's worried about the ka-ching, the money. I'm worried about England. And I'm from New Zealand. Give me 5 minutes with that little boy. Give me 5 minutes with Tommy Robinson. Just 5 minutes. And I'd have that little bitch crying on his ass. I can't stand disloyal people. we're dealing with a time now where Starmer's government have come along and used everything within their power to make sure that Christians hate Jews and Jews hate Muslims and Muslims hate Christians and Christians hate Jews and Christians hate Muslims and Muslims hate Christians and blah, 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 blah. And immigrants are bad. Yeah, even me, I'm here legally. Immigrants are bad because, they bring in the illegals to be the fodder for it all. And everybody fell into it. Everybody fed it because they starved them. They froze them out. They took their rights. They took the English people's dignity from them. They've stripped Scottish people of their dignity, of their faith, of their heritage, just so they can get their hands on children and their organs and do bad things to them. So now's the time when we all need to be getting our shit together and not giving two craps about what Elon Musk is allowing to go up on your feed on your social media. We need to be turning our backs on all the rhetoric they're trying to feed us and the propaganda, and gathering in circles outside our streets and saying we need to take this back. Look, this is done now. We need to take our country back. Keir Starmer and the MPs responsible need to be impeached. And I'm leading the charge because the second I figured out yesterday what was going on, and now my Robert the Bruce, my Scottish, my Knight blood, my Scottish blood, my English blood, my Irish blood, my French blood, my Māori blood, my Egyptian blood, because when I open the portal between heaven and hell, my ancestors have risen. After Satan's doom in the book of Revelation, the dead shall be judged. The dead have risen. Like the Aboriginal auntie, how she said there's more in the spirit world than there are here. They're here, and they're rising up through me. When mighty people do the haka, it's to shake the ground, to wake our ancestors up so that their spirits can rise up into our bodies and give us the strength of thousands upon thousands of ancestral warrior bloodline. But I'm not just Māori warrior bloodline. I'm French. We were knights, we were nobles, we were French knights, Scottish knights, Irish kings, English royalty, English knights. That's me. We had people in the Crusades. I had ancestors on both sides, but it's all risen up in me because now I see that spider creeping into the bedroom of my king from my son's dream, and it's given me. I'm the English Defence League. Me on my own. But what Trump and Starmer and that don't see is that I am backed by legions upon legions of noble warrior ancestor bloodlines from centuries ago that go all the way back to North Africa, standing in front of the door of my king. And I will bang my staff. None shall pass. Nobody is getting near my king. And if you have a problem with that, bring it to my door. Because I feel like I'm 1,000 feet tall now, and my wingspan spreads across from north to south, east to west. I'm like the angel of the north. That I feel that big, and it's like Starmer's brought it so close to my king's door that now the ancestors have risen, and they will protect the king and his family. And I am leading the charge. I have become the English Defence League, all on my own. But I'm not a racist because I'm a mongrel. I got it all in me. I'm black, white, pink, purple, green, yellow, you name it. And that's the point, because I'm the Holy Spirit. I am the embodiment of all of our ancestors, and we all came from all over the globe in order to make King Charles's bloodline and my bloodline and Putin's bloodline. So I've become the English Defence League. And if Tommy Robinson has a problem with that, tell him to bring it to my door. So I can I can sense how close they are to King Charles. He's in danger. I'm worried about him. If I could drive, I'd be going down to London and just kind of keeping an eye on where he is. The thing is, if I was in his life, I would be able to say to him, don't trust that person. I'd do my investigation on them behind closed doors, and I'd take the evidence to the king and say, look, he needs someone like me. So, yeah, they've ramped up all the Brits want out of the Brits want back in EU. Just at the right time when Starmer's saying, oh, we're probably going to go back to Brexit. He's committed so much election fraud. The fact that he hasn't been arrested yet is just, I'm aghast. I'm just like, anyway. So all of this just to say, because I've been getting pissed off at all the propaganda that's going about now with all the bitches of the coalition of Epsteiners, stuff starting to bang around outside in and around the house. You'll be able to hear it on my playback, this one and the last one. And it's towards the end when I start talking about Tommy Robinson and Starmer and Farage and that they hear ping, pang, bing, bang, bong, bong, ding, dong. So, yeah, I'm very impassioned when I care about someone, when I love someone, when I have respect for someone, when I'm that protective of someone. This is me. This is my twin, my Taurus. My twin is Taurus, the bull. This is my masculine side. Coming out. And because King Charles is also a Scorpio. He's a Scorpio rat, the same as me. That's why I know him, because he is me. His birthday's just 5 days after mine, and he's a Scorpio twin Taurus. So loyalty will be everything to him. Loyalty, because like Taurians rule loyalty. They rule, family. They rule the herd. They rule like the family herd, the community, and that. And how bulls stomp around, and they're very, very territorial, and they're very, very like, this is my pen, this is my lot, this is mine, my family, my kids, my women, whatever. That's all Taurian. And so Scorpios and Taurus, where loyalty is everything to us. And when people aren't loyal to you, that's when the horns come out. And so now I'm seeing all these people around the king who are disloyal to him, who are disloyal to the queen. My queen Elizabeth, my Lil, pisses me off. So now the bulls come out. The bulls like stomping. So there we go. I don't know what's about to happen, but the ground's shaking. You can feel it. The ground shaking. It's a ancestral earthquake rising. Kamate, kora. That something's coming. And England needs to get ready, because we're about to have the biggest ousting in political history, and then the biggest celebrations at the end. Because I think the king has woken up, or is about to wake up. Somebody needs to be getting these messages to him. I refuse to let that man go down with the ship. I said to him, I will drag you into the light, kicking and screaming if I have to. Because Vladimir Putin and I are there. We're there. We're front row and centre. We're there. We're in the trenches. Now we just need the king to wake up. And all he has to do is make one phone call to dissolve the government, parliament, and then it's all over. The whole of Great Britain, can breathe a sigh of relief, because then once he does it here, it'll happen in Australia and New Zealand and that as well. Because it'll give the Aussies and the Kiwis and that and the Canadians the strength to do the exact same thing. Appeal to the king. I'm appealing to the king. I'm petitioning the king. And once he wakes up and he dissolves Parliament, that's it. All these coalition of Epsteiners that have been in since Tony Blair, all these prime ministers and all of that have been in since Tony Blair, they're all done for. Then it's all over. Then at least the people of the Commonwealth can breathe a sigh of relief. And it's all over. And we can just wash the filth away and start again. So I'm just trying to wake the king up. I've stomped the ground now, Your Majesty. The ground is shaking. You should have, when I spoke, my authority, my Manna, you would have felt the earth shake. You would have felt it in your gut. Because I'm waking you up. The dead shall be judged. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Mwah.